guys, and welcome to another video from the Bloody Red Squadron, hosted by me, Jolly Old Chap. Now this time we will be looking at a replay sent in to me by Physics, one of our members, and in this game he actually goes on to kill 6 enemy aircraft, so it's well worth a look. Now the first enemy he really gets into engagement with is this Focke-Wulf, who tries to go head on with him, guns blazing and rocket firing as well. So obviously Physics is having none of that and decides to break off. Now Focke-Wulf actually continues on his merry travels and tries to engage Bloody Hands, who's on the tail of another 109. He does actually manage to critically damage Bloody Hands quite severely, so that's forced him out of the fight and back to base to repair. But now the 190 has two pissed off BRS fighters behind him, one in a Spitfire Mark 5 C and one in a Mustang Mark 1. Now, he tries to turn, he tries jinking, he tries to dive, but obviously he's not going to shake them off. Nightrise is trying to get a good solution on him. Physics fires a couple of rounds, managed to knock out his elevator. Probably a little bit lucky, but hey ho. Focke-Wulf goes into a screaming dive towards the ground and then promptly bails out once he realises it's a lost cause. So that rewards Physics with his first enemy fighter down. Physics then returns into a shallow climb to regain some potential energy, changes course to head back into the fight. Then he hears gunfire behind him, jinks, and suddenly a 109 shoots past him and into his line of fire, shoots him down pretty quickly, pilot snipes him actually, and then Physics carries on his way towards the next group of enemies along with Nightrise. Now, in my opinion, the Spitfire Mark 5C is a great aircraft. I mean, sure, it's not the fastest, it's not the most manoeuvrable, but it's more manoeuvrable than 90%, 95% of aircraft you're going to fight. And especially if you're using it in tandem with an aircraft like the Mustang, which has good speed in a dive, even though it might not turn, it's a great combination to just clean up the enemy and induce rage into them, as was found out by Physics in this match, as he was telling me afterwards in chat box. There was a lot of enemy fighters who were not happy about this. So Nightrise spots a 109 down low and promptly cleans him up. So that's a that's a warning to anyone who thinks it's a good idea to be lolling around at low altitude in a game like this and not keeping an eye on your tail. Now in the meantime, two Focke-Wulfs and P-47 decided to camp our base. One of them does get shot down by Bloody Hands, but the situation is pretty desperate unless Nightrise or Physics gets there pronto. So they make a beeline back to base to try and help them out. And the P-47 had initially been attacking the AI bombers up above, but obviously once he sees that there's an opportunity to kill a Mustang down low speed, he's not going to complain about it. He's going to take that opportunity. Goes in for a dive on Bloody Hands. Continues to fight him because obviously he has much more speed than him, and he does promptly bring him down pretty quickly, which is unfortunate since Physics and Nightrise was so close to being able to help him out. However, he has managed to draw them down, so that is one thing working towards Nightrise's and Physics' favour. They climb above them a little bit more to make sure they won't try anything silly, and he begins his diving attack. Now it probably would have been a good idea for Physics to have gone into a lag pursuit, but anyway he wasn't going to be able to catch the Focke-Wulf anytime soon because the Spitfire isn't as fast, especially down on the deck. So Nightrise decides to follow him, who probably also should have gone into a lag pursuit, but again they didn't, and Nightrise was catching him up anyway. Now Physics decides to keep his altitude in case the other enemy P-47 shows up and decides to cause grief for them. Nightrise giving off a few speculative shots, obviously not going to hit, but just making sure the 190 is, crapping pants enough, I suppose. Physics spots the P-47, who slots perfectly in front of him as he's going for Nightrise to try and clear the 190's tail. He doesn't follow Nightrise once he sees the shots coming past him. Tries to outrun Physics, but by this time Physics has more than enough speed to keep up. Crits the P-47's elevator and he goes down in a ball of flame into the ground. In the meantime, the Focke-Wulf is still trying to kill Nightrise, and Physics is obviously not going to let that happen. Fires a good burst into the 190, damages his rudder, a few more shots, and actually critically damages his tail. Now at that point, Nightrise really should have been in the clear, but for some reason he just lingered in front of the 190. I don't know, maybe he was just trying to bait him out a bit more to allow Physics more time to shoot him. Who knows, but either way, Physics runs out of ammunition at this time, and Nightrise runs straight in front of the Focke-Wulf in a maneuver, which is a bit foolish. However, it ends okay. He does manage to pull out of it, and the 190 continues on his journey. And obviously Nightrise desperately pulling up and just about managing to do so. So that would have been a vivid lesson to him, to break off as soon as an enemy has been critically damaged, especially with tail control. So Focke-Wulf runs off back to base with his tail between his legs, although I can't imagine he stays alive that long with no tail control. Probably using his flaps to control his elevation. So at this point Physics is completely out of ammunition, and obviously Nightrise is pretty beat up, so they're both going for a landing. Nightrise takes a bit longer to limp back, and we'll catch up once we get back to the next bit of action. So here we are, up at high altitude. Now there are actually 3 more enemy pilots on the other team, and all 3 of them are in ICTW squadron, so it's likely they'll be working together closely. So Nightrise and Physics have got their work cut out here, especially since they're above them. Now Physics has spotted this 109, he's just drawing him in closer, just to see if he can entice him into a manoeuvring fight, a turning fight, in which the Spitfire does excel, although at this altitude it might be a bit more of a struggle. He brakes, includes a bit more of the vertical as well, not just the horizontal brake. 109 is completely suckered in. Now he tries to engage in a turning fight with the Spitfire, which is not a good idea, especially if you're in a 109. Now Physics does have to keep an eye out for the other people on the ICTW squadron, who are flying around as well. All of them are in 109 G2s. Now the 109 is completely fixated on Physics at this point. Physics does a barrel roll, manages to get behind him, and the 109 then goes up into a Immelman maneuver. Physics does follow, although he has let off a lot of speed in the manoeuvring, and he does just about manage to complete it. The 109 in the meantime is going into a sharp turn to try and engage in a head-on maneuver, head-on attack even. Physics gets a couple shots into him, not much damage. Then suddenly a wild 109 appears, and he does try to engage, and he overshoots completely. Physics has lost them at this point in the clouds, so he's just keeping an eye out on his 6. He hears gunfire, he brakes, which is a good thing considering how close that 109 was to his tail. So now he has 2 109s, one above fails completely, overshoots, and continues on his way. And this other 109, Iceman, goes into a head-on with Nightrise. Nothing much happens to either of them, no damage, real damage occurs. Physics tries to get back on his tail, loses him momentarily, he turns up right in front of him, and they are now both trying to take down Nightrise, which gives Physics more time to get behind them. Now, 109 is so close in front of Physics, but he can't quite get the angle due to all the manoeuvring. Split S from the 109s, Physics follows suit. Nightrise at this point is probably yelling on his microphone, trying to get him off his tail. Physics duly responds and takes off the right aileron off the 109, which will make it extremely difficult to control. Because in the meantime, while this is happening, Nightrise does actually get critically damaged twice by another 109 who's chasing him. And he does actually go down, which is unfortunate, and leaves Physics with a 2-on-1 odds, although the other one is actually critically damaged, so it's technically 1v1 at this moment in time. Now the 109 has seen Physics, tries to brake and turn into him. Physics decides to go for a head-on this time, which is a little bit risky, has a really awkward angle, and boom! Takes off his wing, which is incredible shooting right there, and pretty unfortunate for the 109. Now, the last 109 on the enemy team remaining. At this point, his 109's chances of survival are pretty slim, considering that he has no right aileron, which is doubly worse seeing as he's in a 109, which doesn't like taking damage in any way, shape or form. So, obviously, he's desperate, he tries to go for a head-on with Physics. Physics is having none of it. Does evasive manoeuvre, The 109 cannot follow that, although he does try and fire a few shots of desperation. And then the 109's wing just refuses to cooperate. He goes into a spin and dies. So there we have it. Physics gets 6 kills in his game. So there we have it. A great game by everyone involved. Hope you liked it. Remember to comment, like and subscribe. See you next time.